So what am I going to be chatting about today? Well, first of all, I'm here to answer any questions you have around your personal brand and advancing your career. But something came up for me in a conversation yesterday, so I thought I'd share that here today and share some advice and my thoughts around this. And what is interesting, actually, as I was thinking about this, is that last week on the show, we talked about why now is the time to reach out. Why now is the time to step up and to make people aware of what it is you do in the workplace. In other words, the value that you're bringing. Okay, and so today I'd like to focus a little bit on networking, and in particular, one aspect of that. So let's see. Brad, doing superb. Thank you. Great to hear that. And I look forward to seeing you this evening in the group coaching live. James, hello. Thank you for joining me here today. I hope you're keeping well. And so for me, when we're looking at networking today, what I wanted to focus on is why is now the time to reach out and ask for help? And this came on the back of a conversation, as I said, I had yesterday with a friend of mine. And the big thing, the pattern here between last week and this week and what we're speaking about is to never assume. And last week I spoke about never assuming that people know what you do, that they know the value that you bring to your team and your organization and how good you are. You need to speak up about it. And today it's about never assuming what people are going to do, say, on how they're going to respond to you. Graham, hello there. Thank you for joining. And so the thing today is that, and the reason this came up is because right now there are a lot of people who are looking to maybe change career, and pivot to something new, or simply they are thinking about moving on. They want to progress their career and apply for new roles. It might even be that you found yourself in a situation where you're in the job market. So whatever it might be for you, what is it you can do to help yourself to get to the next level? And the thing is, there are many common assumptions, and this is where I start to talk about never assuming. And these assumptions oftentimes come from our fears. For example, you might think that, so let me give some context to this, sorry. So what I'm thinking about here is asking for help. So reaching out to people in your network to ask for advice, for guidance, for referrals, for recommendations, for introductions, whatever it might be, even to learn about a particular role that you're interested in pursuing or a different career, speaking to people who can share that with you. And the thing is, we have those assumptions often, which many times come from our fears of what could go wrong. So for example, it might be that you think, well, actually, they're going to be too busy to talk to me. Worse yet, you might be thinking, well, I'm not important enough. Why would they create some time to have a conversation with me? I'm not important. I'm not even on their radar. So I'm not going to ask. It could be that you fear rejection. So that's a big part of this. And for me, if that's one of the things for you, then ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? If they don't respond to you, if they say no, it's okay. There are plenty more people out there who will be more than willing to support you and to help you. And the question also is, maybe you do get on the phone with somebody and you have a chat with them and you ask them for help and they say no, they can't help you. Now, there could be a number of reasons for that. Okay, and it could be they've just got a lot going on in their life right now and they can't give time to helping you. But if the answer that you receive back is no, then the thing to say is, who do you know who could possibly help me? Who do you know who might be able to share some of their knowledge, their guidance with me? Who could you refer me to? So always remember to ask that question. And this is no different from being in sales. And when you get the rejection of no, they're not interested in buying from you, again, it's the same question. Who else do you know who I might be able to assist or who could benefit from this service or this product? So it's a similar conversation. The point here, though, is to alleviate those fears that we have of rejection, of hearing the word no. And the big thing also to remember is to not take the response personally. And there's a great book around this, actually. It's the 4 Agreements. And one of the agreements in there is to not take things personally. because you do not know what is going on for the other person. Even if they give a reason as to why they can't help you or why they can't hop on a call with you, there might be much more to that. So just remember that everyone is doing the best they can right now. However, at the end of the day, if you don't ask, you won't get that help. So my advice, my invitation for you this week is to think about, if you're in a situation where you're in the job market, you're maybe looking to change career and to pivot to something new, or you're just looking to advance your career up to the next level. Think about what help you need and who can help you, and start reaching out to those people. So let me know if this is helpful and any questions you might have on this. Graham, you're saying cult book. Are you referring to the 4 agreements? Or is that something else that I'm not aware of? Just drop me a yes or no there so I know what you're referring to. And thank you for that. So the thing is, I'll give you an example, a real example here. And let's say you're in a marketing role and you decide that you would like to move into something that's more business development or sales, but you don't know where to start. Now, Graham, yes, thank you, brilliant. Yes, it is a fantastic book, and it's such an easy read. It's such a small book, really, really great. And there's actually a free downloadable PDF. If you Google the 4 agreements, it is available as a PDF online that you can just download and read. So you don't even need to buy the book. So yeah, a real life example of, you're in a particular role. So let's say you're in a marketing role and you're considering maybe pivoting to a business development or a sales role. But yet you obviously need to do a bit of due diligence around that. You want to understand more about the role, what it entails, what kind of skills you want to be bringing to the table, that kind of thing. So what do? Well, you could reach out and speak to someone who's doing that role already. And this counts for anything. If there's something you want to do, there's more than likely other people already doing it. So the easiest thing to do, one of the quickest wins, is to reach out to one of those people and ask them whatever it is you want to know. So whether it is about the skills, the most important skills that they think are important to succeed in that role, what a typical day or week looks like for them, what the job entails, what are the biggest challenges. So whatever it might be that you want to learn more about when you're doing that research, that due diligence, think about people, identify people who are doing that kind of role already and reach out to them. Now, the idea here is to speak to people who are in the same place that you want to get to, or have been in a similar situation. So another approach could be that you want to pivot your career in a particular organization, and there are other people who've done that as well. So it may not be from the same role, the type of role that you're in, to the same role that you'd like to go to, but they have been able to pivot from role A to role B. So reach out to them, ask them how they did it. What was the biggest challenges? What do I need to be aware of if that's something I want to do? Think about these questions and reach out and ask people for help. Now, when I was having this conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, one of the first responses she said is, oh yeah, but I haven't spoken to that person for 5 years. Okay, I get that. And maybe it feels uncomfortable to reach out to somebody if you haven't spoken to them for a while, for a number of months or years, to ask for help. So that's where the whole broader networking comes in. It's about building and maintaining those relationships. And at the same time, what is the best way rather to build those relationships? It's about building rapport. And something I've talked about quite frequently over the last few months is that I believe right now is one of the best times to grow your network, to expand it, to reach out to people that perhaps you've not spoken to for some time, but that you'd like to kind of bring back into your network and maintain that relationship, maintain that conversation. Why is now a good time? So if we break this down, one of the best ways of building relationships and establishing them is through building rapport. And one of the ways of building rapport is to find common ground. And something that pretty much all of us across the globe have got in common right now is we're all experiencing a global pandemic. So we all have something in common. Now, it's absolutely clear to all of us that the experiences that we're all having are different to the pandemic. Some are okay, some are not so good, some are probably extremely challenging. Either way, we're all experiencing something in our own personal way. And this is a great opportunity to reach out because A, there's something we have in common. B, it's a great time for people wanting to connect because people are stuck at home. And so to actually hop on a call with someone might be a breath of fresh air from just doing the day-to-day at work and speaking to the same colleagues, just to have a different conversation with somebody. So connection is something we're all craving right now. So people will welcome those conversations. And thirdly, and I've forgotten number 3, it's just gone out of my head. So let's just revisit that. So the first thing is, and actually number 3 is people are more available right now. So there's more flexibility with time, with working hours and so forth. So that was the third point. So it's a great time to start building rapport with people that you maybe haven't spoken to for a while. Number 4 actually is that it is much, much easier because we don't have to travel anywhere. We don't have to arrange a venue, travel somewhere, spend time, travel back to the office or back home. Simply hop on a call and all you need is 20 minutes, 30 minutes with that person. And it can be in your lunch break. It could be first thing in the morning before it gets busy for you, or it could be after work, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. So be sure it works for the other person, but take the opportunity now to really start rekindling your network, people that you haven't spoken to for a while, because people do want to connect. People do want to have conversations. And the other thing I'd say about this, and again, this came up in the conversation, is that people feel uncomfortable asking for help if they haven't maybe spoken to somebody for a while. Does this resonate with any of you? So for those of you watching live, drop some comments and let me know if this is useful, if this is something you have done yourself, or if this is something maybe you're going to try when you get off of this live. And so for me, it's asking for help maybe when you haven't spoken to someone. Yes, of course, it can feel uncomfortable. The thing to remember is that many people, most people in fact, like to help. They love to support others and help people to rise, to move up in the world. So actually by reaching out and asking for help, you'll more often get a yes than you will a no. So going back to what I said at the start about never assume the response that you're going to get. Never assume that people are going to say no or they're not going to have time. If people want to help, they will find the time. They will make time, even if it's only 10 minutes or it's by email. So ask the question. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. Yes, it can be scary. But imagine the feeling and the surprise when that person says, yeah, sure, let's schedule some time in the diary and have a chat. That is the best outcome for you. And remember, ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you get no response, or they say no. I'm sorry, I don't have time, not interested. So if they do respond, ask them, who do you know who I could speak to, who could help me? Or if they don't respond at all, do not take it personally. Okay, let's see. So Graham, yes. So, yep, so it is the 4 agreements. Highly recommended if you haven't read that. Graham, people are usually happy to help, especially if we say please. Absolutely, people really are. And Brad, I reached out to old colleagues that I didn't speak to for 5 years. Plus, I felt awkward, but once I'd done it, I found people friendly in response and feedback, and it helped me to kickstart different thoughts and avenues. Yes, again, do you see, it works. And I know it also can create opportunities. I always say that one conversation can change your life. One conversation can create the biggest opportunity that you never even imagined. And that is why networking, in the broader sense, I believe is so important. it's important to continue to expand and to also to maintain your relationships, because at some point people might call on you for help, but in the same way you might need to reach out and ask for help. And that's why it's important to really think about the current network that you have and reaching back out to people you haven't spoken to for a while, but also continuing to expand that network. Thank you, Brad, for sharing that. And I know from the back of those conversations as well, there's potential opportunities that have come up for you. So you're a great example of the power of networking and the power of reaching out and rekindling those relationships with people that you haven't spoken to for some time. And so something else to consider here is about the type of network you're creating. And the reason I say that is because some people will think, oh, okay, well, if I reach out to all the people that do a similar job to me and are maybe at the same kind of level as me, then that's it, I've got a great network. No, what you want to be doing, and sorry, the other thing you don't want to be doing is waiting until you need help to reach out. Ideally, you want to be nurturing relationships all the time. So when you're ready to ask for help, it feels that much easier. Now, the thing to remember here is you want a diverse network. You want it to be made up of people who have both similar as well as different skills to you, and also people at different levels, at different different levels in their career. So it's a diverse mix. People in different industries, different types of roles, different careers. And you want to also look for people within your network who can be mentors to you, who can be your sponsors, your advocates. So the people who've got your back, who will sing your praises, who will be happy to refer you and mention you to other people. So think big picture when it comes to growing, expanding your network and nurturing it. And I'm a huge advocate of never asking others to do what I'm not prepared to do myself. So I'll share a little bit of my own example here of having done this. And before I do so, let me know if this is helpful, if you have any questions, if this is something you've done before or you're going to start doing, because now you're hearing this and you're thinking, actually, this is a good idea that will really help me when it comes to advancing my career or to securing my next role. So let me know what your thoughts are. Share them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say and if you're finding this useful. Okay, so I'd like to share with you a little bit of a personal story. And this is about me asking for help, because I say I'm always an advocate. If I invite people to take action in some way, I want to be able to say that, yes, I have done that myself. I'm not saying to do something that I wouldn't even dare to try myself, because this is all about being aligned and authentic with everything that we do. And so for me, historically, and for those of you who know me, you'll know I've always been very self-sufficient, very independent. I've just gotten on and done things on my own. And I didn't like to reach out for help because I felt that I was able to do everything on my own. And this has kind of worked for a long time. But what I then started to realize, particularly when I embarked on this new chapter of launching my own business, I realized that actually it's time to ask for help. And this proved quite challenging for me because I'm not used to it. And the fears came up. So some of the things I mentioned earlier about rejection, of people just saying, no, not interested in helping you. Maybe they're too busy for me, or who am I to ask for help? Who am I that they would even give me their time? So there's all this inner dialogue that we have going on, that we question ourselves, that we have those insecurities, the uncertainties about the result that we're going to get. And I realized that I actually thought I had to do something about this. I can't just do this on my own. I will need to reach out and collaborate with people and build my network. And now, as a consequence of that, I have I'd say a good solid portfolio of people in my network, many of whom I consider friends, not just acquaintances, who I can call upon if I need some help, or if I'm stuck with something, or if I want to run an idea past somebody. and it's reciprocal. So they will do the same with me. If they've got a new idea or they're feeling stuck with something, we can hop on a call and help each other and support each other. And that's what having that network is all about. It's creating a strong community around you that's reciprocal. And for me, it took a lot of courage for me to start asking for help. But here's the thing, when I did, I was struggling to get a no. When in a lot of sales training, we talk about looking for counting the no's until we get a yes. In this case, it's the reverse. It's actually searching to get a no, because as Graham said, people are usually happy to help. As long as the ask is reasonable, people are happy to do their best to give you the advice, to maybe introduce you, refer you, whatever it might be, just have a conversation with you. And that was a huge surprise for me when I started to reach out. And I struggled to get no's because most people were very open to supporting and to helping me. And for that, I am truly, truly grateful. And I wouldn't be able to say that to you today if I hadn't asked. So I've been there. I know how uncomfortable it can be. And yes, I've reached out to people that perhaps I haven't spoken to for a number of months or a number of years. But I'm looking always to nurture my relationships, to rekindle old ones, and to expand the people in my network. And I'm recognizing the fruits of that. Yes, it takes time, it takes energy, but it is absolutely worth it. And particularly if you're looking to advance your career, if you're currently in the job market and you're looking around for something new, a lot of the time right now, the roles that people are securing are through the back door. In other words, they're through connections, people in your network who may be referring you, recommending you, or letting you know about an opportunity that isn't being advertised. So it's even more important right now to really think about leveraging your network if you're looking to secure the next role. And if you are thinking about pivoting your role to try something new, reach out to the people who are doing it and ask them about what the role's about, what are the challenges, what it looks like for them, whether, you know, what the biggest challenge was for them at the start, moving into something that's completely different. These are the kind of things we can think about. And it's so easy to have that conversation. It can take 5 minutes. It doesn't need to take up a lot of time from people. So that's my invitation to you this week, is firstly, to never assume the outcome of asking for help. Never to assume that people won't speak to you or don't have time to speak to you, or that they will think it's weird because they've not heard from you for 5 years. Obviously, start out softly, re-establishing old relationships to ask for help. But people will be obliging. You'll be surprised. So let me know your thoughts on that. If you agree, you disagree, if you have any questions, and if it's something you have tried, or if you're now thinking, actually, yeah, I'd like to give this a go because I'm in that situation, that yes, I am in the job market. Maybe my job's at risk. Perhaps you're looking to advance your career or to pivot to something new. Wherever you might be, this is so important for you right now to help you to propel yourself forward. Let me know your thoughts, and let me just grab a glass of water while you're doing that, because I know there's a couple of seconds delay while you're typing. Okay, so I'm not seeing any comments coming through. Does anyone have any questions today around their branding, what they can do differently, and around never assuming? So never assuming the response you're going to get for people. Let me know in the comments. Has this been helpful? Is this something you're going to do for yourself going forward? Have you tried it before? Or, in fact, what is stopping you? What is stopping you from reaching out and asking for help? Share that in the comments and let me know. And I'll give that another few seconds because I think there is a time delay between you typing in and the comments coming through. Okay, I'm not seeing much coming in today. You guys are quiet today. What's going on? What's going on? Okay, so that is my share for today. That is what I wanted to advocate to you, is to really think about reaching out and asking for help, because believe me, people will say yes. People can be very, very obliging. So with that, let me see. Brad, very helpful. I need to be proactive to chase and continue engagement, as it shouldn't be a one-off activity. That is so pertinent, Brad. Thank you for mentioning that, because sometimes we think, okay, we'll do it now because right now we are in the job market, or we're looking to pivot or advance our career. So actually, oh, maybe now I should start doing something with my network. And then you get that new role, you move on, and then you forget and you can't be bothered. It's hard work. It takes up time. And that's not how it works. That is not how it works. Because also remember, this is reciprocal. Other people, those people that you've helped, may one day reach out to you because they need your advice, support, some advice, or excuse me, help from you. So it should not be a one-off activity. This is an ongoing process. And it's very much the same as your personal brand. For me, cultivating your personal brand, establishing it, refining it is an ongoing process, because it's a reflection of us, and we're evolving, we're growing, we're learning every day. So it's very, very similar that we have to keep working on our own brand, which includes our network. This is a big part of what when I share about personal branding. And in fact, just to let me talk about that for a second, you know, personal branding is multifaceted. And so you have different perspectives on this and different areas of focus. So one of the areas is on personal branding is about your image. So it's about how you look in terms of your style, the colors that you wear, so your visual imagery. And that's one area of personal branding. Another is, which is what I've seen to be the most common, is personal branding about your online presence, your profile on LinkedIn, your interaction, your engagement with others on your platforms. That is a big part of personal branding as well. And both of these are very, very relevant. When I'm talking about personal branding, for me, the facets that I focus on are about us as individuals, as a person, and how we're showing up. And that can be shown up both in person or right now, more commonly online, whether it's like this, on a live, on a Zoom or Teams call. It's still really important to work on ourselves to show up as the best version of us. And so what that means is looking at, as I mentioned earlier, getting clear on who you are, what you stand for, what you want to be known for. It's also about your mindset. And we touched on this today when we looked at fears and the assumptions that we make. A lot of that comes from the mindset that we have. And it's about building a high level of self-awareness of the thoughts and the feelings that we have and what we can do to influence those, so we have different outcomes, that we have different experiences. It's also important to think about presence and having a strong presence, whether again we're showing up online or we're showing up in person. And that for me is a big part of our personal brand. It's the aspect of communication that is non-verbal, because many people believe that others make a judgment or pass judgment on them, or create an impression or perform an impression of them based on what they actually say. But this isn't always the case. Most often people will start to form an impression of you when you walk in the room before you've actually uttered a word, and therefore it's important to develop a strong presence. And the other thing for me is communication. So having effective communication, whether it's in the form of presenting or simply speaking to your colleagues day to day or being on the phone, all of that is very pertinent when it comes to having a brand, because ultimately your personal brand is your professional reputation. And then the fifth aspect of this is what we've been talking about today, which is building stronger relationships, so growing your network. And it's a really fundamental part of your brand, because it's other people who determine your reputation. Ultimately, you can influence it, and you influence it through nurturing, cultivating those relationships. but the reputation is others' perceptions that they have of you. And this enables you to then show up as a strong leader in your own right. And I'm not talking about your job title. I'm talking about the person that you are, the person that you come across. And you can come across as a strong leader in your own way by cultivating these aspects. So whether it's your identity, getting clarity on yourself, whether it's your mindset and self-awareness, your presence, your communication, and your relationships. So those are things that for me are important to building a strong personal brand and can position you well when it comes to advancing your career, because having all of those things and mastering them will have you having a strong reputation and also being top of mind for the people that matter, the decision makers, the hirers in organizations. So I hope that's helpful. And as Brad said, none of this should be a one-off activity. So thank you, Brad, for highlighting that. You've also said, I learned talking to other people. I learn about their work and their industry and their challenges. Absolutely. And this is so relevant because we don't know when we'll experience the same kind of challenges as them. It's good to know what's going on in the wider world, not just in your little team, your department, but what's going on for other people in other parts of the business or in other industries. It's always great to grow your knowledge and be aware of what's happening in the workplace. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions today, I'll give it a few seconds, then I will leave you for today. And I'd like to say until next time, continue to build your influence, create an impact, leave a lasting, compelling impression, and keep showing up as the best version of yourself. So until next week, same time, same place, enjoy your week. Let me know in the comments if this has been helpful. And if you have any questions, type them in the box and I will come back and answer them for you. I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.